Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
With the big, bold flavour of HP sauce, making breakfast legendary.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan Cockerel, and guess what? Holly Walsh is here this morning. I love Holly Walsh. I mean, professionally. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Morning, Jim. Morning, Peter.
Morning.
Morning.
So, thanks for coming, Holly.
Thanks for having me.
Emily's a bit poorly today. We're all we all send her massive love and hugs. I'll ask your opinion on this. I'll ask your opinion on something early. I was talking to a lady this week. Very nice lady. I'd say should be. Anyway, she was well into middle age.
Of a certain age.
Yeah, and she's talking about her marriage and about the fact that her ex-partner never answered the phone.
Right.
She said, I'd often ring him and he never answered the phone. And I was thinking, what does she mean? Is it like a landline or? And I said, this is what came out. Were mobile phones invented when you were married? Now, I really didn't mean. I was just trying to establish a timeline.
Oh dear.
Yeah, she seemed to take it all right. I think when I could find her in the building. She'd obviously gone off to a room on her own for a bit.
Do you know her well?
No.
So, do you ever get that thing when somebody tells you something incredibly personal about themselves and you think, we've connected?
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. And then you tell them something incredibly personal about yourself. And then later on you realise they're just the sort of person who tells everyone really personal stuff.
Yeah.
And you've said that one thing that you never had told anyone.
Well, I never do that because obviously my personal things are valuable currency. They could make a fortune out of those. So I'm pretty much a closed book in conversation.
So if you were to see someone in need, you might help them out by giving them a tidbit that they could then sell to the press to help them out.
Yeah, exactly.
What a charitable guy.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't he? Yeah. A homeless person got any spare change, mate. No, but I once killed a man in Oldham in 1976. But I didn't, if anyone's listening. There's people in Oldham now saying, hold on a minute, didn't he say he'd been hanging out with some comedian chap? So so that's that. We had a good text in, didn't we, this morning about one of my nowadays rare TV appearances.
We did have an email. Let me find it because I was doing my trawl.
Sorry, I've given you a hospital pass.
You have in.
Okay, we'll move on. Look, my worst ever one. I don't think you were on the show. I may have told this on the show. I was at a cricket match, and I was sitting with a woman who was. She was full-figured, and she had. She was married to quite a senior cricket executive, and the cream tea came round at tea. The scones and all that. And I said to her, I bet you've had a few cream teas in your time. And I meant because she lived in the world of cricket. It sounded so awful. Anyway, in the light of these two things, I've actually been offered the Top Gear job.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, I did a TV series this week, which then ended. And often, if you do that, you get, well, as you two know, you get a present. I love a present of any kind. Can I say today, by the way, I got somebody sent me a present, and even talking about it now makes me feel slightly breathless. They sent me a signed photo of Tom Baker, personally signed to me, and a CD, which I think might be Tom Baker talking to me. I'm not sure about that, but that's what it seems to be.
Isn't it?
And someone sent me a 2,500 quid fountain pen the other week.
Well, you didn't quite name the price for
Didn't
a little
I?
bit.
Oh, God. Oh, I have now.
You kept it back for about an hour, if memory serves.
Did you know it was that because they left the price on, or did you do what I do, which is you Google it and see how much it's worth online?
No, they sent me a letter saying we'd like to give you a 2,500 quid fountain pen. They were completely upfront with it.
Was it Saga magazine? Were they trying to get you to subscribe?
What makes you think that? It was Michael Parkinson. He arrived at my house dressed as a courier. What if he came on a courier bike?
That'd be good.
Or modelled as a giant pen on which he rides around distributing his...
I mean, a motorbike with pen fairing, like a setup.
Pen fairing? I like the sound of that. That ought to be a character in an Oscar Wilde short story.
Yeah, why not? Let's make it happen. Oh.
So Lionel...
I can't do that.
Sir Lionel pen fairing. Anyway, that pen is lovely, and I write with it, and it glides like Torval and Dean.
You'd hope for £2.5
grand, yeah.
But I can't... and I was very excited about it, but I'm going to be quite honest, I'm more excited by when I opened that Tom Baker up this morning. I could have wept. Oh, so thank you very much to Oliver McNeil, the photographer, who sent me that. It was you've made an old man very happy.
Help yourself to jokes there.
Essentially 2 old men very happy, because I'm sure Tom Baker was thrilled to.
Oh, I hope so.
To hear of a fan.
That's a lovely thought. That's a lovely thought. I don't think he's short on fans. Anyway, but that's a lovely thought. I was given a box of meat as my closing show present.
Lovely.
Now, you may remember, regular readers will know that for Christmas, Room 101 gave me a meat voucher.
Barely buys food now, he just does television.
Yeah, exactly.
Stocks up his freezer.
Cupboard's bare, I'd better get some bookings in.
He just doesn't get paid, he just does a cardo delivery. Just cover that.
I'm paid in meat. Sometimes I take it away live and do my own slaughtering. Depends on the show. If it's reality TV, they just give me the cattle. No, so it was a lovely box of meat with all sorts in it. You know, it wasn't just not just one meat. And I tell you what was the best thing about it.
Ox tongue. Any ox tongue in there?
There was no ox tongue.
Oh, no. I had a bad episode with them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to hear
like
about
a French
it.
kiss. French kiss.
No.
Did you use it? Did you use it to simulate a French kiss?
No.
Be worth trying that, wouldn't it? Has it been cooked? When you get it, it's raw. It's how it would be in the mouth, or has something been done to it?
Yeah, it's an ox's tongue.
Yes. And you boil it until the outer skin you can then peel off. It's grim. It's pretty grim.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what you got, is it?
Have you ever had a chittling?
What?
A chittling.
A chittling? is that the inside of something?
I think it's some sort of offal sausage.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Is it really?
No.
It's delicious. It's the best.
Awful.
It was the best offal sausage I've ever had.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to play some adverts while people just recover from this little bit of the conversation. There'll be vegans who are listening to this now who are throwing themselves at the walls. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry for that, but we'll be back with a slightly censored version of my meat box.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So my meat box, what was lovely about it, it was all compartmentalised. You know when you see like a hitman in a movie?
Oh, nice.
And they open a suitcase and there's like I don't know where they go to get them.
Argos. They get those from Argos.
Did you screw an entire cow back together?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll put a sausage onto the end of a lamb chop like a silencer.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Then a T-bone steak for the arm, the shoulder.
Well, that's good.
That'd be great if the whole cow came in a separated box. Oh man, meat gun. Have you seen my meat gun?
Pardon?
Sorry, officer. No, but it was. I remember once Ribena sent me a Ribena sort of construction kit, and it was a bottle of Ribena and a bottle of water and a glass and a mix, a sort of whisk for mixing it up. It's elaborate, but that was in one of those boxes where they all fit. I just like those boxes where things fit neatly into their compartments.
Is today's show things you've been given for free?
Sorry.
Is that what we're doing?
If Ribena are listening...
Things I've been sent over the years. That's great.
Don't send me any Ribena. I can afford that. I know, but do you know what I mean? There's something very sad. And with meat, it means every time I eat a bit of that meat, there's a gaping compartment.
Yeah. Sort of like in a big chocolate selection box, so you can see which bits are the favourites. Everybody goes for the steak, and then everybody's left the sort of the nostril.
I started with the pork chops, I've got to tell you.
Started with pork?
Yeah.
It started with pork. It was a high register, wasn't it?
I always
That's how surprised I was.
It started with a pork chop.
I find this the sell-by date of pork the most threatening of all the sell-by dates.
Yeah.
Why?
Good wisdom.
Because I think when pork goes off, it becomes a killer. For a man of my age, I wouldn't play with pork.
I thought it became jerky.
No, that's beef, isn't it?
No, I've become jerky in later life. You're mixing up the various ageing processes of the human being and the pork chop. But if you took out and you could just see the shape of the meat when you finished it, I could pour chocolate into that, and then I could give people chocolate meat for...
That's your Easter present.
Lovely chocolate meat, yeah. Totally.
Have a chocolate sausage.
But I was quite pleased with it, and it's even included a rack of lamb.
Oh, nice.
Which will double as a toast rack.
Nice.
I thought that would be a lovely breakfast.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a freezer big enough for this meat amount?
I've worked out from the sell-by dates and a little bit of haphazard timetabling. I can get through the whole lot without having to freeze anything.
Brilliant.
I always think once something's frozen, it's never the same. No disrespect if any of the Walt Disney family are listening. But I just... and yes, don't text in. I know he was cremated and it's an urban myth, but it's a better story.
Yeah, it's a comedy show.
No, I don't freeze anything except peas. That's it with me.
Peas?
Ice cream.
Ice cream, would always say I could get through a tub without having to.
Oh, my goodness. I've got a separate freezer just for meat.
Have you really?
Yeah.
You've got a walk-in wardrobe equivalent of a freezer.
Yeah, that's right.
Walk-in bath. You know those walk-in baths? What about one of those full of meat?
Yep, got that as well.
I used to work in one of those.
You worked in a walk-in bath?
I worked in the cold rooms at Marks and Spencer's.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, like Rocky.
Yeah, I used to punch ready meals.
Here's a question. Do people still put steak on a black eye? That's this morning's text in.
That's good.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Have you paid for anything in the last 8 years?
That's a personal question. And whatever that woman tells you, it's just talk.
It's one of the things that you whisper to a big issue seller. Bit of scandal for the papers.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not. I'm actually, on this show, I have tried to not get free stuff. I often say, don't send me a Black Nando's card, or I'll just use it to get the ice off my windscreen and stuff like that. Whereas some people, they would kill members of their own family for a Black Nando's card. Mm-hmm. You got one, Holly?
Oh, I had one for a bit, but it stopped working.
Oh.
How many meals did you get in?
About 55,000.
Fair enough.
In a 3-month period.
How did you get it? What did you have to do?
I was on a TV show. That's one of the best things I ever got, in all time, of everything I've ever received.
Wow. Yeah.
I think it wasn't black as well. I think it was another colour. I think it was a sort of more temporary one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Grey.
they weren't committing to my stardom. They said, let's see how this goes for 3 months.
Can I reiterate? I don't want one. So, Alan wants one.
I don't.
You don't want one? I don't want one. Stick them. Stop bothering us. I don't want it. Get off me. Honestly, it's like being in Istanbul. Nando's, you were pulling at my sleeve. I don't want one.
Hey, ages ago you asked me about that email. I found it.
Oh, did you?
Remember ages ago you said we've had an email.
Do you think the moment's gone?
No, I don't know.
Okay, go on.
I'm prepared to throw it in the mix. Hi, Frank.
Yeah, that's what Zayn Malik told me.
Hi, Frank. I was watching a bit of CBeebies last night, and on you came reading There's a Lion in My Cornflakes. My boy and I were enthralled by your reading. Blimey, your face must have been shattered after that. Your eyebrows covered the facial pitch in a way I've never seen before, like two furry Stephen Gerrards. Have you got a very mobile storytelling face in
Well,
it?
you know,
Is
when
that-
you're telling a
it's for
face to a
kids?
child, you have to give it some.
Well, it sounds like you really did.
There's no
So
room.
you were overly using your facial expressions to amplify the
Yes.
story.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I knew I was doing it a bit. I didn't realise they were that rampant.
Of course, there's a line in my cornflakes. Could well be your breakfast tomorrow now that you've been sent that meat box. Hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm eating like a lion.
Some meat and everything now.
I don't have cornflakes now. I just have lamb chops.
Lovely.
I'll tell you what else. That wasn't the whole. I also was given my own personal seal.
Seal?
Not as in... not one of those. Because never give animals gifts. I was given... You know, the ones that you used to stamp on a letter, to seal the letter. I was given that and a stick of red sealing wax.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Which was beautiful.
Have you used that yet?
Yes, I had a general anaesthetic in the week, so I covered the whole of my trouser zip with it for safety. No, I haven't actually used it yet, but I like to think that I will. It's a beautiful gift.
You've got a £2,500 pen, a seal. All you need now is some scrolls. And you've got the full
Oh, actually, I think it's been
letter
sent some
writing
paper.
kit.
Have you got the scrolls? No, I always walk like this. It's an old one, but I just like to say it anyway.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in that I'm not sure. I don't like to doubt the veracity of, but I'll put it to the board and see what you guys think. Do you
Okay.
think this is a true story or is there a joke in there? I once watched a man shoplifting a pack of 2 tiny frozen chops by sticking them under his hat. When I was leaving the store, I saw him lying on the floor, passed out from brain freeze, hat one side, chops on the other, 2 security guards standing over him, killing themselves laughing. Joe.
Well, I want it to be true so much.
Yeah, me too. But, I mean,
Unless it killed him, I don't want it to kill him.
is there a person of science
for it,
who
you
can
know.
tell us that...
I think crime should be punished, but I not by death.
It's not quite Dostoevsky, is it, in the text?
There's so much about that story that's brilliant. A hat. Not just a chop, but 2 small chops.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it a pot pie hat? The whole outfit was meat themed. Were they lamb chops?
It says chops, 2 frozen chops. Could be any.
Which bit of the animal is a chop from?
God, so many meat-related
Well,
texts.
there must be a bit of rib in that.
Do you think so?
Yeah, gotta be. Because the rib, I love, my favourite food has a handle on it. So the lamb chop, the pork chop,
Lolly?
the toffee apple.
In fact, I'd say a pork chop is sort of like a meat lolly.
Yeah, chicken leg. Chicken leg is more like a meat toffee
meat-
apple.
Chicken legs, great.
Anyway,
I think people often go for the breast, but they don't realise that the leg and the thigh are actually more tasty.
Tastier cuts of meat, indeed.
yeah, I've never been sure about that. Anyway,
You're listening to the food programme on Radio
we've
4.
talked a lot about meat this morning. I'm full. My cholesterol levels have shot up just from the conversation. And I'm worried about my throat, as it is. I don't know, I mean, it's been kind of you not to mention this, any of you, but my throat is getting a bit Dead Sea Scrolls.
What do you mean?
You know, I was sitting in a makeup chair the other night, and I could see that I'm getting the throat of a man in advanced years. You know when the throat goes? I remember an American comedian once talking about he'd seen Ronald Reagan get out of a helicopter, and he said his hair did not move at all. It was so waxed down, but his throat was blowing all over the place. And I'm starting to notice that my throat it can be moved
Got
by
more
the wind.
skin on there that you
It
used
just
to.
doesn't.
Is that what it is?
You know what? I've developed what I believe they call in the chicken word a wattle.
Right. Isn't it
what
a
a
dewlap
wattle?
on a cow? That
Pardon?
bit?
But what a
Yeah, thank you. Or
got a lot of
a
wattle.
dewlap on cattle.
That is
So back to meat. I've gone back to meat.
Straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not keen
Should
on
I tell
it.
you what
You
you
are
need
what
to
you
do?
eat.
You need to do.
Uh-oh.
You need to get a piece of wire And you need to tuck it underneath your sort of jaw and hook it to your ears.
Yes.
And it basically gives you a sort of super cheap, or tooth floss, a very super cheap sort of chin facelift.
Well, a friend of
What,
mine...
and then do you keep it on?
Yeah, forever.
Oh no, that sounds
And you
too
keep
hard. I thought you
tightening
meant
around
like for a
these-
little while, and then you
No,
go
it's
out
like a
and
brace.
Well, a friend of mine, who I won't name, once did a chat show in America with the, I think now dead, American actress Shelley Winters. And he said before she went on... Do you remember Shelley Winters, Night of the Hunter and all? And before she went on stage, he said she came in looking, and she was an old lady. She came in looking like an old lady. She had a wig on, and her stylist took the wig off, and there was like a sort of wing knot on top of her head, which she then tightened up. And as she tightened up, the whole face went into a facelift, and then put the wig back on, and then she went on looking. And when she came off into the chair, undone the wing knot, and Shelley went, "Oh, thank God for that."
Wow.
So there's a little tip at home if you've got a partner who's a bit of a handyman.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
So you guys must have had a few end of show gifts in your time.
I've not had loads, but I still use a toilet bag that I got from an early episode of Mock the Week that I did.
And does it say Mock the Week on it?
No, it's just a wash bag that they'd bought from like Muji or somewhere like that.
Oh, they could have done a personalised.
I don't think there was the impetus to treat me that well. I was like, oh, hang on, let's get something embroidered.
I didn't know you had impetus.
Yeah, I got some ointment though. Don't worry.
Okay, good luck.
But yeah, I still use that sometimes on the road.
Lovely.
It's all right.
I get given a lot of makeup.
Me too.
Top end
What do you do with it?
makeup. Make myself up.
I don't think of you as a makeup person. You know what I mean? You think...
You just
Is that
think
a Death Star,
I look
Holly?
like somebody's given up.
Was that a
you
Death
look,
Star?
you look
I think
like
that was a Death Star.
you look like someone who doesn't need it. What about that? What about that for a
That
rescue?
was a man who...
Yeah. I use it.
You're not wearing
By the
makeup.
way, your eyebrows really went for it in that moment.
I know that
Your
was, yeah.
eyebrows were all over the
did,
pitch.
did I tell you about that lion in the cornflakes? You're not wearing makeup now, are you?
I'm not, but it
Well
was
then.
6 o'clock when I got up and I thought, it's radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Good point.
I thought, I don't have to impress anyone here. So,
I got
facially, I do.
Don't run away with that idea.
Speakily, but not facially.
No,
I got-
speakily.
I got made up for the sitcom thing, and she denied it the week after. The next time I was made up by the makeup lady, I said, "Oh, I saw your notes on what you'd done, and it said something like." Rebuild under one eye, because I've got like a wrinkly under one eye. Can't even remember if it's
Really?
left or
That's
right.
like Robocop.
She was like, "It did not say that. It did not." And since then, every time I look in the mirror, obviously, I think, which eye is it that I need to fix? I've got a rebuild to do.
They hated Alan on that production. I'll tell you after, Holly. He was a complete nightmare. Some of the stories.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Alan Cockerel, and Holly Walsh is with us this morning. I feel this would be something River Holly Walsh, but we didn't have time to get the thing
It's okay.
together. But you're very welcome. You can text us on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I want to thank David as well, a guy called David, who's number 564, who sent me the Princess Bride DVD.
Oh yeah,
Prince's Bride.
Is that what it's called?
Princess, I think.
Princess Bride, it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, you said princes.
Did
Yeah,
I?
you did.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
all right, no biggie.
The Kate Middleton
No
love
biggie.
story.
Yes. Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't watched it yet, which is why I've been delaying saying thank you, in case he asks me about it by
Right.
text.
Yeah. About the plot.
It's always pressure if someone lends you a DVD or a book. You think, oh, God, now I've got to do that now before I dare see them again.
Yeah.
But thank you. It was a lovely gesture to send me a DVD. It had the cellophane on.
Yeah, I still haven't listened to that Steve Jobs talking book that you gave me. I feel bad about that. But it's like 22 CDs. I thought it was going to be one disc, and then boom, I'm done.
But I'm happy to have it back. I'll give it to a charity shop.
Okay.
There's people who could kill for them just to use them as coasters at a party.
That's right, actually. I could do with some coasters.
Or ways to ward off deer. People often hang CDs on trees and bushes to scare off deer from nibbling.
Yeah, they hate popular music, deer.
Are deer a big problem in the UK? Are they? I haven't noticed many CDs to get rid of deer round the manors that I'm hanging out in.
They're absolutely rubbish, deer. I was in Norway, and this guy said there's a big stag over there. And I was looking for this thing, and it came through the trees, and as it came through, it was going to be the big dramatic entrance. Got all its antlers all caught in the tree. Oh. Got it caught. Had to stop and sort of untangle itself. That's rubbish. Yeah. Like walking around carrying one of them big metal step ladders wherever you go. It's just like, oh, God, imagine having them on your head all the time. Nevertheless, how do you feel about One Direction, Holly? Are you an enthusiast?
Oddly enough, I'm not a huge enthusiast of One Direction as a whole, but I'm a big fan of Zayn Malik.
Are you?
So
are you actually?
I genuinely
Before this week?
I find him very attractive.
Ah.
He's definitely the hottest of the lot.
Is he?
He's the hottest of the lot.
Well, that's controversial, isn't it? What about Nobby Styles, as he's known in the trade?
He sure is.
You think better than Styles?
Oh, for sure.
I like your wacky tastes.
I don't think that's wacky. I think he's fairly acknowledged as being hot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Presumably he's less hot now he's left, is he? Is that what happened?
But at the moment he's hot because he's like unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. He's hot because he's troubled. Girls love that.
They do, yeah.
That's why I've almost never been out with a woman in my life.
Because you're so balanced and well-adjusted.
Just happy-go-lucky. They hate that. Hate it. We'll come back to Zayn. I'm fascinated by him.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
We're talking about Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
Which is your favourite of the 1D boys?
Well, it's Niall.
He's your pin-up.
Well, the reason it's not is I met him, and I met him in the press lounge at the Hawthorns because he was, before he became an ODer. I don't mean he hasn't killed himself, don't panic, anyone who's listening. I mean, as in One Direction. He was a season ticket holder at the Albion.
No.
Isn't he
definitely
Irish?
going to be a fave.
I think he's of Irish stock. You could be Irish and have the season ticket at the Albion.
Yeah.
That's allowed, I think.
Of course. It's just
they used to have a very strict gate policy.
There's traditional clubs that Irish fans tend to favour.
Yeah, but we have got a few, because we had Johnny Giles was our manager for quite a while, and he assembled a lot of this is not interesting Irish players. And
I was interested.
I'm interested.
Yeah, but
you fancy Zayn.
I don't want to tread on the toes of rock and roll football. They won't like it.
I didn't really know who Zayn was until this week, and now it turns out that everyone knows who he is. And not only that, people like you have got a favourite one-deer.
Do you think Jeremy Clarkson is pleased or annoyed that Zayn left in the same week? Because it's real sort of stealing his thunder. But either way, they've sort of both been up against each other for the headline.
Well, they have their own catchment areas, don't they? I think the people who are upset about Clarkson probably aren't upset about Zayn.
No.
But then the papers still have to choose a headline.
Yeah.
And a photo, and there's no two ways about it. Zayn is more photogenic than Clarko, I think we can
but with Clarko you got more face to work with. There's a 4-page spread there, and that's just the chin.
He's definitely got one of those nuts on the top of his head. A wing nut.
He should. I don't really know Zayn, but he's quite heavily tattooed.
I don't think anyone knows Zayn.
No.
I think that's
really?
part of
Do you think
it.
that's the thing?
He's very mysterious.
See, I understand. I was offered to be in. Did you see Comic Relief? Did you see No Direction?
Yeah.
When those middle-aged comic. Well, I was offered that and I turned it down. So I understand where he's coming from.
Oh yeah.
What it is to not be part of
very
it.
similar.
It was the constant travel that put me off.
It was so lucky that Zayn didn't leave before that went out, because that would have been an awkward phone call.
Yes.
They would have had to call, I don't know, like randomly one of the people and be like, I'm so sorry you've done a week of rehearsals.
Well, I
but-
don't-
Yeah. Who's got the least powerful agent?
Yeah.
That's who's going.
I don't know who played Zane. I'm guessing Johnny Vegas. But you can have a shot of him looking forlorn on at an airport or something like that and reproduce the whole drama.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Zane has said that he's leaving one day because he wants to be a normal 22-year-old who is able to relax and
That's
have
why
some
I'm leaving.
private time.
That's why I'm leaving Absolute Radio. I want
to
to
be a normal
22.
22-year-old. You're going to be online a lot of the time, are you?
I'm going to have monkey gland implants.
What's
in
that?
pants.
Monkeys in pants.
What are monkey
living at my
gland
house.
implants?
Monkey gland implants is what they used to do in the earlier 20th century to give you sort of eternal youth.
Right. Where do
I
they
think
put them straight?
W.B. Yeats had
Would they
it
put
done.
them straight into your wattle? Is that where the monkey glands
I
would go?
just fold them in my in my dewlap. My dewlap on my throat is so I could actually unveil a plaque to myself if that was stapled to my Adams.
Uh-huh.
I could pull a string and just the dewlaps would separate. There it would be.
My husband doesn't have an Adam's apple.
What?
That's not possible, is it? Is
He
he?
is a man.
Did he used to be a lady?
You sure?
Does
yeah,
do look like a lady? That's the first clue.
That's your first audition for One Direction. New Zane.
Serious?
Yeah, nothing.
No Adams.
As flat as a lady.
Is it just that it's not visible, but he's got it in there? It's you
He's
know,
got a deep voice.
he's not a medical marvel that just doesn't have that.
No.
Oh, okay, it's fine.
So we don't know why saying. Oh, by the way, there was
Oh,
a
we do.
correction. I was
Oh, yeah.
completely
Yes.
wrong. There was a
Oh, yeah.
one correction.
I have a correction from Joanne on Twitter. Says Liam is the West Bromwich Albion fan. You're getting your band members mixed up.
I am. Yes, I thought it was Niall. It was Lee.
Niall is lifelong Derby.
Really.
Maybe you should
and
quit
it-
One Direction if you haven't got the
Well, like
facts
as I
right.
say, I turned down the chance to be in No Direction, partly because it sounded a bit like New Direction, which was a gentleman's magazine from the 1970s that I no longer want to be associated with.
Oh, was it?
It's enough of that. I'm surprised Zane didn't mention that in his parting speech.
That he doesn't want to take a new direction.
Yeah.
as
What
it
do you
were.
do as a normal 22-year-old? I think
Well,
I don't think he knows.
I'll tell you what you don't do. Check your bank balance and see millions in it. I mean, how's he going to be a normal 22-year-old? Because he can buy what he wants, can't
Yeah,
he? That's-
forever.
Yeah.
What I remember most about being a normal 22-year-old was the air raids. But I don't suppose he'll have that.
When you were a normal 22-year-old, they didn't have mobiles.
No, certainly not. They just weren't mobile. We just dwelt in one area of... Anyway, we wish him well, and is he left for a lady? Is that the I'm turning to Holly, because I feel Holly's more into it than you are,
Well,
Alan. Is that unfair?
I've been doing a lot of reading on it to see if I can work out what the thing is. I think he's engaged to a lady, and he went on a holiday to get his head together, and then was photographed holding hands with another lady.
He was on tour. He was on tour, and I think they had a couple of nights off.
Oh.
And they had a pool party.
See, that's the problem with these one-deers. They shouldn't be allowed nights off. They should be flogged and worked, and that keeps keeps the blinkers on, and they can cope then.
Yeah, I
Do you
don't
know what
know.
I mean?
I wouldn't recommend the best way
downtime.
to improve your love life is to leave a major boy band. I think I'd hang around. How long before he regrets it? What do you think, Monday?
He's probably rewriting his letter now.
Already? Hey, man, he's going to wake up and think...
I think he could still style this out.
Yeah.
I think he could just
Harry did.
Styles.
Yeah,
Styles it
Harry
out.
styles it out. I think he could still go back, and if he just doesn't mention. Have you ever had one of those things where you walked out in a big huff and then you just come back in and just
Yeah.
not mentioned it?
A bit like Arj.
Yeah.
Just say he let his batteries go flat on his phone. Look, we can all learn from Arj, I think. I feel sorry for... They're already calling... What's she called, the lady? Perry Edwards. Already calling her the new... Yoko Ono. Which is harsh, isn't it?
Perry Edwards does not have the same ring to it as Yoko Ono.
No. But, I mean, it's that the other woman... I remember this when Newman and Baddiel split up. I got all this.
You were the Perry Edwards of your time.
I was very much the Perry Edwards.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I think when it'll really hit Zane is when he sees his first duvet cover without him on it.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that. How many huge factories across the world are having to down tools to re-Photoshop the pictures?
Oh, merch, yeah.
Likewise, my waterproof undersheet with the Top Gear team on it. That's now redundant.
Yeah, I suppose with the One Direction thing, they could just put like a full stop on his face on some of the merch, couldn't they? Just like a big... Well, they could have the four of them
nowadays,
big.
In the age of Photoshop, they'll just put the new... Who's the new person? Is it Dermot O'Leary?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, God, you do 24 hours of dancing on Comic Relief. Next thing you know, you're in OD.
Yeah.
Yes, well...
Are you sad? Are you a big Top Gear fan?
Am I?
Yeah.
Well, I had a strange experience with Top Gear. I'd never seen it, and then Lee Matt wanted to put it into Room 101, so I thought I'd better have a look at it so I know what I'm talking about. I watched 2 episodes, loved it. Which I'm not proud of.
Right.
No.
But I didn't hear one right-wing, one sexist thing or anything on those 2 episodes, so
That's
maybe
probably
I
why
just
they
got
sent you
lucky.
those ones. That might be it.
Is that what you were looking for? Sexist,
Well, I
right-wing?
sort of expected it.
That is what they offer.
Yeah.
Isn't
I
it?
wouldn't say I was looking for it the way I'm looking for, like I was looking for gems in a cave. But that's what everyone has said, oh, God, they're so, and so. But in fact, I just found it, and I know nothing about cars, but I just thought it was, I thought it was funny.
You don't know much about even your own car. When features on a car get discussed, you say, "Oh, I think my car might have that." Yeah. That's how little you know about
Completely
cars.
guessing. There's a very mysterious, the dashboard of my car is like the cosmos to me. I need interpreters. But anyway, as long as the wheels go around, that's basically it.
Anyway, Clarkson's gone, which...
So what you're saying is you're not in the running for the new presenter with this kind of statement.
No. No. What I know about cars, you could engrave on the skull of a midge, on a midge skull.
Sometimes I feel like your cliches are a bit much.
Yeah, exactly.
The way you always go for the easy one.
Yeah, exactly. The old midge skull cliche.
Yeah.
It's like talking to a footballer.
Yeah, you're quite right. So no, it won't be me. Who will it be?
It's probably not
Maddock,
going to be
is that
me
what you
either.
Ruth Maddock?
Ruth Maddock. That would be a good shout, wouldn't it?
Who's
yeah.
Ruth Maddock?
Heidi High?
Oh.
Howdy ho.
I know, I was just telling you how Idi Amin spelt his first name.
I saw a really, really fat man in a very
Is
small...
this all right? Is this all right?
No, it's true. It's an anecdote.
Is this all
one of
right
my
so far, Holly?
anecdotes.
What do you think?
Let's see how it...
It's one of my anecdotes.
This sounds like he's auditioning for Top
Really,
Gear.
really fat man.
Exactly, he's after the job, Alan.
I saw a really, really fat man in a tiny smart car the other day, and I laughed out loud. It gave me a lot of pleasure. And I really think maybe the Top Gear
Sounds like
people
my meat
should...
box.
Maybe they should think about that. Get a big guy so that it looks funny, especially when they put the helmet on and it sort of squashes their cheeks together and stuff. It'd be quite a good giggle, bit of visual. Have they thought about that?
I've told you, stop treading on the toes of rock and roll football.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, I don't know if that will happen, will it?
I think
There aren't any
if
fat
the
men left.
person's good enough, they should be allowed to do it, irrespective of their size. Or
It
sex.
seemed a strange choice instead of like a large vehicle. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm
So it
uneasy.
looked like a kind of...
You are
I'm uneasy about it.
Very uneasy. So
I'll be all right in a minute.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
we've had a joke in, a texted joke from Kev the Cabbie. Now Zayn has left, should One Direction change their name to One Defection?
Good.
Very good.
It's a joke, isn't it?
That's good, I like that. Maybe Russia should have changed their name to that after Boris Gordievsky defected.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not such a good joke, that one.
It's not.
I
It's
feel
not
like
going to be
what
as
I've done
crowd
there,
pleasing.
I've arrogantly tried to top it, made a
I
fool
think
of myself.
In the moment, there was some credit to be given, but take that out of context.
Yeah.
No, that's bad.
If I tweeted, since Boris Gordievsky left Russia, it should be known as One Defection, I mean, I could get nothing.
Yeah.
While I'm looking at the texts, I've also got an update. Oi, that chop story is true. It was an Asda superstore. Have you seen how far the freezers are from the doors? Ask our Karen. She was with me.
Well,
Joe.
as far as I'm concerned, if our Karen's backing him up, that's that.
I think it's a she, but yeah.
Excellent news.
As regards Clarkson, as you called him last week, I think he's undergone quite a dramatic change. The press pack were outside his house the other day, and he came out on a bicycle and cycled past them.
He came out of his house on a bicycle.
He came out with a bicycle,
Yeah.
and they said, "Jeremy, have you got any comments or something?" And he said, "Sorry, I'm going out." For a start, he's become a cyclist, which, who would have thought? Top Gear host, anti-cycling. In the past, he has genuinely said cyclists are trespassers in the motorcar's domain. They've no right to be on the road. Some of them even believe they are going fast enough to not be an obstruction.
Can I say that Alan's reading all these off a tattoo on his arm?
Yeah.
That's what a fiercely
And he closed that comment.
pro-cyclist person he
He
is.
closed that comment with "run them down to prove them wrong." That was what he said in
Yes.
the past about the cyclist.
Probably a
And
joke.
now he
Probably
Well, I
is
mean,
one.
he got to keep his job for that, so that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's become one. It feels like he's sort of...
Wouldn't it be wonderful if it was all a facade? All the time he was under contract, he had to pretend to be this petrol head, sort of
Yeah.
slightly anti-everyone sort of vibe, but actually all the time he was going home
Really
and
lovely.
crying to his...
And what would be really good is if that came out now and then he got the job back, he could be reappointed as like a...
Or he might- he
turns
might-
out you're all right.
He might
Yeah.
get Country File.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
My bet is that he'll get TalkSport. I think he'll do a bit better. I think he'll do all right when he... I don't think we should worry about him being unemployed.
No, I
People-
reckon he could live off the interest of what he's already amassed, surely.
People have had bigger falls and come back
Oh, God.
as
Yeah.
huge people.
Yeah. Richard III.
He got in a huge argument over a steak.
Yes,
And
silly.
ended up in a car park in Leicester.
I think a lot of Clarkson's fans must be really disappointed to find out that he has his steak cooked at all.
Yeah.
You'd want to think he just, like, tore it off the animal.
If only he'd been sent a meat box,
Yeah.
That's
none
all
of
he
this would have
needed.
happened.
He should have just sent his show wrap gift early.
Oh, poor old Clarkson. There's something I haven't heard this week. Anyway, if he does get... I'm sure he'll get offered a lot of different jobs. I hope he doesn't choose by going eeny, meeny, miny.
Good point.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We got Holly Walsh with us this morning.
We have. Hello, Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you on. You always have strange tales. How's your life?
Have
Have I dropped you in it here?
I have got a life.
Oh no, good, thank God, she's still got a life.
I'm still alive.
If you found you'd come here straight from a life support machine.
My neighbour's just got a wind chime.
Oh, there you go. That'll do. Another
You
news.
can't carry on living your life through others.
A wind chime.
Yeah. Have you ever lived near a wind chime?
Well, my mother-in-law has a wind chime, but she...
Modern
uniquely-
comedy's different, isn't it?
Uniquely, yes. My mother-in-law, she's got a wind chime.
See you after the break for the story about a dream catcher. Good night.
But uniquely, she keeps it indoors.
That is exactly where wind chimes should be kept.
So it's less of a bother.
It's more of a decoration.
Yeah, so
with no wind.
Your neighbour has it on the porch. I imagine
They
she's
have
got a porch.
No, they have a... I don't live in the deep south.
Oh.
They have a... who has a porch in London?
I don't know.
Text in.
My other car's a porch.
Very good.
I read recently. So, can you hear it at night?
It's... You can't switch it off.
You can't switch off a wind chime.
You can't switch
I
off
can't
the
turn
wind.
off the wind.
That's what
but
King
that's a story
Canute
for a different
thought.
show.
Yeah.
I have to... What kind of a psychopath has a wind chime? I think it's an indication...
How many kinds of psychopath are there?
8,
Many.
12, 15. What kind of time?
psychopath has a wind chime. That's my tattoo.
Is it one of the, it's one of the dangly... tell you what I've never seen in anyone's house. Are you aware of the Aeolian harp?
What?
Isn't that on the outs? Isn't that the bit around the nipple?
No, that's the Oriole, you see.
Is
I'm
it?
aware of that, but I don't think it... even mine doesn't make a noise when the wind blows. That's my throat you're thinking of.
Well, that was the Northern Lights.
Oh, we've got very complicated. No, the Aeolian harp is a variation. It's a sort of a harp, but it's set up in such a way that when the wind blows across the strings, it plays. There's a Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem about it, if you want to look it up.
Is there?
He went to my school.
Absolute Radio, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm a fan of ST, so I'll have a
Oh,
look.
yeah?
He went to my
Yeah.
school.
Coleridge went to
Yeah.
your school?
Yeah, Coleridge.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah. And George Lamb.
Have you still got a drug problem there?
Is it George Lamb? Isn't he the guy
George
who...
Lamb, yeah.
No, not the present-day George Lamb.
Oh, right.
An older George Lamb.
different George
Maybe
Lamb.
his first name wasn't Lamb.
Was it the
It's
Lamb
George.
Shakespeare thing? And we shouldn't get into this too heavily.
Anyway.
So,
Patrick
but it's
Stewart
not
went to
that
my school.
loud, is it? Hey, who went to your school?
Patrick Stewart.
Good one.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Nobody interested went to any of my schools except me.
That's a very arrogant view of your alumni.
I remember saying this at a reunion evening once. Oh dear.
That's why
oh,
you cancelled your Friends Reunited account, isn't it?
dear. Yeah, exactly. You know, I never really got into that. Though isn't the great mystery and thing that keeps us all going, the knowledge, is we'd love to see what the people we were at school with look like now. But not enough to actually join Friends United. I want to come back to the wind chime because I'm fascinated
Yeah.
by the momentous status it's been given in your life.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Cockerel and Walsh this morning.
Cochrane and Walsh.
Best
Sounds
of-
like a solicitor's
Nice.
It does, doesn't it?
or a bookkeeper's.
I could imagine you two doing a hello, I'm Cochrane and I'm Walsh. I can imagine. Can I do the song now? No, you can't. You can text us on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
We have had a text in that I would like to bring to your attention. It's on the topic of wind chimes, which Holly was mentioning just before. We crossed the hour, as they say in radio.
Oh, I like that.
When my husband and I stay overnight, this isn't me, I haven't got a husband, I'm reading a text.
You
When
couldn't have a husband in the modern age. Don't turn your nose up at it.
I was just saying
God,
for
you've
clarity.
gone very Elton John's mum.
When my husband and I stay overnight at his mother's in Wolverhampton, we get up as soon as she has gone to bed to
I
take
like
her...
it so far.
Yeah, me too. To take her wind chime down.
Oh.
We put it back before she gets up. We could just ask her to take it down herself, but she's a psychopath. And that's from... I'm going to say...
This is one person's opinion,
I'm not going to say the name of who sent that in, just in case, but let's just say it's
Well,
text
look.
number 195.
Believe me, there'll only be one person in Wolverhampton with wind chimes. So you've already nailed it down.
There you are, that's good.
If you slept in the same room as wind chimes, is it possible that one could break wind with alarming ferocity and soften the blow with a beautiful tinkle of melody?
I think I probably could, yeah, I don't like to show off.
Congratulations.
I'm no Mr. Methane, but I know I can.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
That's actually a very beautiful thought.
Yeah.
Very.
Because you can take the edge off a lot of sourness with
Nearly?
music.
Do you mean nearly?
So,
and-
what you...
Oh, so yeah, they've got these wind chimes. My neighbours have the wind chimes. And it's actually... also, they're slightly atonal, so they sound a bit like the... It sounds like someone's vomiting the soundtrack to The Exorcist. Very... It's just... It creeps me out. It's a creepy sound.
Yeah.
It's not... Doesn't make me feel zen or relaxed or at one with nature. It makes me feel on edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
This
I'm in a
sounds
horror
like a
movie.
fair summary of most of the music I personally choose for the show. Well, but I don't think of you as an intolerant person. Have you considered the removal of the wind chimes, a la Wolverhampton?
Well, as I can't because I'd have to scale a wall to do it. Firstly, and secondly,
worth
I'm
it.
not sure if it's. I mean, is that antisocial behaviour? Having a wind chime? I mean, it keeps me awake at night and it wakes me up in the night. But I don't know if it's classed as
I know,
having
it's-
an antisocial neighbour.
It'd be a difficult thing, wouldn't it? And I've come to speak to you about your wind,
wind
chimes. It does sound...
They're like, why don't you come in and have a hemp tea? Let's chat about it.
Yeah.
And then
Is
by
that
the end
how
of it, you
people are?
feel. They're actually not. They're quite not hippie-ish, but they're really into their wind chimes.
Do they have dream catchers? That'd be a good complaint.
My-
I've noticed some of my dreams are starting to linger in the area. Could you take down your dream catcher?
Can I tell you a true story? Someone gave my parents a dream catcher, and they didn't feel they could throw it out, so they keep it like wedged by a pipe next to the downstairs loo.
That's going to catch all sorts. Oh, okay. I hope the person who gave that isn't listening. I've got I went round to see my neighbours last weekend. We were casually chatting. And they were talking about the people who live in our road and stuff. And then they said, yeah, of course, and blah, I won't name the name, but blah, blah lives up the road. And I said, oh, whoa, hold on. I said, do you mean the Doctor Who person? And they said, yeah, he lived here.
No.
And I've lived in this road a year. And this person, I say, I don't know what, I don't feel I should know, but they are like a major figure in classic Doctor Who. Writer, script writer, etc.
Wow.
An inventor of some of the key themes, and lives less than 100 yards from my house, and I didn't know. Now, what would you say? Would it be all right for me to just
Knock on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You
Why
think
don't
so?
you just bump
But
into
I live in the
them?
north, where knocking on is sort of socially
But
acceptable.
I live
behaviour.
in London, where it's basically it's a threat. It is. We'll come back to this because you can imagine it's been nagging at me.
Absolute
Absolute
Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So this is what I need encouragement.
Once you get to a wattle like that, you need everything.
Yeah, oh my wattle. Can you hear it at home? So I thought maybe I could just say my car's broken down,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and
To this neighbour that has a career that you admire.
Could I borrow a cup of diesel? But if he's heard that I live in the road and I did my car's broken down thing, that's going to make me seem even scarier.
Wow. Yeah, that would be...
Can I make a suggestion?
Buy a
You-
jetpack.
No, you get a
Look through his
really,
window.
you get a really loud wind chime and wait for him to knock on your door.
Oh, that could work.
Yeah, especially if it goes.
You would need a certain set of prevailing weather conditions for that to
Yes,
take
also
place.
that-
though.
And a hugely mic'd up wind chime.
Yeah, and I'd have to
Yeah.
very carefully judge the length of the metal strips to get the right notes. So
That's a
I
lot of
think
work
my
compared to
New Year's
knocking on the door.
resolution was not to mention Doctor Who on the show. It was forced upon me.
gone
I've had
terribly,
that,
I think.
and then I had my fantastic gift this morning.
Yeah.
The photographer Oliver McNeil, in case you don't know, sent me a personalised signed photo of Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Which
What are you going to do with it? Put it in your... I imagine you've got a huge safe in your house full of stuff, really cool stuff.
you know what I've got.
Stolen artworks.
I have got a safe. There was a safe when I moved into my house, built into the wall, and
Nice.
I've never ever really thought.
Does it have one of those sort of wheels on it?
Yeah, yeah.
I've never thought to use it. It seems a weird thing. Maybe the meat.
Yeah.
A meat
Put it in
safe.
the meat safe.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
We used to
euphemism.
have a meat safe when I was a kid.
That
That's
sounds-
what people, before refrigerators were common, people put this thing in a meat safe.
You really are from a different era sometimes.
I am.
aren't
No,
you?
Wait,
I am
did
from a
people-
different era. let's face
People
it.
have meat ruffles.
Oh, that's...
They had meat ruffles. You know those
Oh,
things
yeah.
the Elizabethans wore? They had those.
oh, that's what you should get for your neck.
They had those made out of spam. Yeah, lovely. Now I'm growing my own.
meat ruffle.
I'm growing my... Yeah. A couple of weeks I'll look like Shakespeare. But
We've actually
with
had a
meat.
text about meat. Hi, Frank and Minions. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I agree meat out of the freezer is not as good.
No.
A couple of years ago, I cooked a rabbit that I'd had for a while, brackets over a year. The wife came home 4 days later, holiday with her sister, not around, they had, also in brackets. And her first words when walking into the backyard was, "What's that foul smell?" I must admit, I did think twice about eating it, but I hate waste, and I saw it as a challenge for my iron guts. He had to keep up the good work. Ate a
Respect.
rabbit that's been in the
Do
freezer
you know what? I'm going to hazard a guess that man is over 55 years old.
because he eats rabbits.
No, because he's doing what my parents do, giving an unnecessary amount of extra information in a story that doesn't need it.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. I like the rambling nature of it. It was like Moby Dick. You read Moby Dick?
No.
He's not a man who thinks, oh, maybe I'll just cut to the chase. Melville. I mean, full respect to Melville, as we always
It is
say
all
here on
about the
Absolute
chase.
Radio. But what it is, though, there's a lot of stuff that isn't about the chase. Lots of, like, quite detailed stuff about whaling.
Oh, really?
Who needs it? It's like being trapped in a lift with Bob Marley. There was a whalers joke in there somewhere, but it was so impenetrable, even I didn't get it.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We should really talk about this Richard III thing that's been all over the old media this week.
Big story.
Big story.
I don't want to, I don't like trumpeting my ignorance, but I'm not sure I get it. I'm not sure I get why it's such a big deal. Why are they reburying a guy that's been dead for yonks? Why is it such a big fuss? What's the...
Well, he didn't get much of a burial first time round.
He was in a car park in Leicester.
Yeah.
He was in a supermarket car park.
Yeah, they found him. I'm excited for the historian that did the work and went, I'm pretty sure he's there, and then she got proven right. That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But then I don't really get why so many people have gone.
Well, it's Richard III for a start off.
Yeah.
Who even, if you're not into history, you're liable to have heard of him through Shakespeare.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yes.
My wife said, what do you think of this? I said, all I know is that at one point he was prepared to swap his kingdom for a horse. That's all I've got. I mean, I think that's where they got the idea for swap shop, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying he was a great barterer.
No, he's one of the worst I've heard of.
But he's pretty, I'd say as royal as go, well, no one's ever said this of Richard III before, but he's quite high profile.
And a lot of people are into him. Loads, like 30,000 went. Whereas
What, to his funeral?
no, to look at the tomb in Leicester. 30,000.
Well, he was
people
he was paraded first of all.
Seems weird to make the trip when it's now in the public domain that Leicester's got one less city centre car parking space. Why would 30,000
where would you-
of them show up?
Where do they park?
Yeah, exactly.
They're creating problems for themselves.
I imagine they filled it in again after, didn't they?
You think it's back to being a car parking space? All right.
I don't think
not
you.
bring
I
up
don't
bags.
think. Yeah, you can go back.
Well, I was excited about it, I must say. So
they gave him a proper consecrated burial, did they? After they dug him up.
yeah, he's got a proper tomb in Leicester. Is it Cathedral?
Yeah.
It must be Leicester Cathedral.
Yeah,
He's big time now.
he's big time now.
You don't think it's a sort of cynical tourist move? They
Definitely not.
Oh,
No, but it's good.
Leicester's got other reasons to go. I mean, I've been to Leicester many times. It's got a lot of pound shops. It's got a lot of stuff
You
going
get
on.
the great view from
My
the
favourite
eclipse.
curry house is there.
A lot of good curry. Yeah.
Is that like
I'm not going to go at Leicester in any way.
is that like My Little Pony? My favourite curry house. It's a toy that you can get. Well, I don't know. He was actually the bones were found in February 2013,
Yeah.
and he's only just been buried again. So one wonders if Richard III had maybe been dragging his feet a bit. I think it's a great story. It's just
It probably took that long to find Benedict Cumberbatch's a place in a calendar to do
His
the
diary.
readings.
That's true. Because
It
in case you don't know, Benedict Cumberbatch did the what would you call it? The eulogy.
He was a great guy.
Yeah, exactly. I remember one time there was these two princes in the tower, and I said, "You are not going to do that." He said, "You just watch me."
He didn't, did he?
No.
He read a nice poem, or a special poem by Carol Ann Duffy.
Was he picked just because his surname sounds a bit like Humpyback?
I think not. I think he was picked because he is apparently Richard III's third cousin 16 times removed. I don't know what the 16 times removed bit
they
means.
were looking for a family member, and it just so happened it was one of the greatest actors this country has produced in
Yeah.
the last decade. Well, that's very convenient.
Isn't it?
16,
Just as well as Jeremy Clarkson.
16 times removed, though. That happened to me in a nightclub in Birmingham. in the 70s.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in from 002. When was the last time you went to Email Corner? P.S. I think it's time for Alan to record a jingle for it.
Maybe there's a point there. I feel a bit bad if we did that while Emily was off sick. Be a sly piece of... Yes, shall we go to Email Corner then on the strength of that? OK. She doesn't sound that well on there.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've got an email.
Oh, God, good on you. What you got?
This is from a man called Matthew Jones with one T.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the normal way of spelling Matthew?
Matthew.
I've seen more and more 1T Matthews around now.
Yeah.
Not double T. Anyway, you recently discussed how we no longer ask neighbours for cups of sugar. That may be true, but neighbouring favours still exist. On Christmas Day, my wife was in charge of preparing the old school starter of prawn cocktail and realised that we didn't have any lettuce. Happy to have it with just cucumber and tomato with the starter. We forgot about it. 10 minutes later, my slightly tipsy mother-in-law walked through the front door with half an iceberg lettuce, kindly donated by my neighbour.
That's brilliant.
That is the sort of story you will tell for years.
Christmas Day, though, that's quite a thing to go and knock on someone's door Christmas Day.
I like the fact that it's a slightly tipsy mother-in-law. It's like the whole thing's being written by a sitcom writer, isn't it?
Yeah, Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it makes me think of.
It's half a lettuce as well. It's a feeling like, well, they were really... like pushed into it in the end. There's a compromise situation. Well, would you take half? That's what I imagine she was like. I mean, she might not have been that drunk. I'd have assumed
they're slightly tipsy.
I'd assume they were making a home horror movie, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you ever get one of those horror sound effects soundtrack albums and look at the small print, a lot of things like sawing off leg of live person and stuff like that, they're always done with lettuce and cabbage.
Is that right?
All the stabbings are into a cabbage or a lettuce.
So all I need is a lettuce and my neighbour's wind chime, and I've basically got the most horrific 10 minutes of my life.
Exactly. And then you can do a podcast with you telling a ghost story.
Brilliant.
You can have that.
Has your neighbour ever come round and asked you for anything?
Oh.
Yes. I
Your Wi-Fi code.
Yes, he asked for my Wi-Fi code.
No.
That's sort of what started all this. And my neighbour comes round to borrow our printer. She hasn't got printer, and she just pops round for the printer. Cheeky, innit?
Wow.
That's quite cheeky.
We went for a meal with her the other day.
Old-fashioned, when people used to share televisions.
Yeah, we went for a meal with her the other day, and she
Did she come round for the coronation as well?
To print out.
She actually said to me and my wife, I like it when I come to yours, but I really think you should change your brand of tea bags to the brand I use.
Wow. Well, so why don't you photocopy some on our photocopier?
So,
wow.
I agree. The world of neighbours doing each other favours it's not over. Still happening, isn't it? You lend out your Wi-Fi to all and sundry.
Yeah, but I did that. When I did that, I thought, well, yeah, it's
no biggie.
Fair enough. And then I came on this show, Holly, and talked about it, and they frightened me to death. They said he would hack my account.
You can hack everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
now you're doing it.
Yeah.
He's probably on your Wi-Fi right now, streaming. He's probably streaming.
Yeah, he is. Well, he had got a heavy... oh, well, not even worth doing. Not even worth doing. Also, if I was going to have a prawn cocktail, I don't know if I'd miss the lettuce, would you? It's not one of the...
I do love a prawn cocktail.
But
I love a prawn cocktail.
But it's just for
Good
cradling, isn't it, the lettuce?
Because actually the iceberg creates a sort of bowl in
That's
itself.
all. Yeah, exactly. You don't need it. You can eat it out of... I've eaten prawn cocktail out of a baseball mitt. It's perfectly fine.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
We've actually received an email about neighbours. Hi Frank and team, our old neighbours knocked on the door one Christmas asking for gravy granules. Of course we obliged, but thought it rather strange. Since then, every time we sing happy birthday to a family member, we shout out right at the end, gravy, gravy, granules, as loud as possible in the echoing conservatory to show our middle-class disgruntledness subtly to our neighbours. We've since moved. We've since moved, but still retain this tradition. Kind regards, Sophie. I'm not sure
I'm
I
so
follow
confused.
that. Why are they shouting it at happy birthday instead of at Christmas?
Maybe that's the only time
Also-
they gather together now as a family.
Are they showing off that they don't use gravy granules? Are they
No.
be snobby?
No.
Are they being snobby to their neighbours?
No, they're showing off that they don't need to show off about gravy granules. They've got an echoey conservatory.
And
I know,
they
but-
had the gravy granules. They had them to lend, so I don't think they're gravy snobs.
Yeah.
But what does our middle class disgruntledness mean?
That they didn't say face to face. Why do you want gravy granules off me? That kind of thing. That's the sort of... Isn't that what they're trying to convey?
Yeah, I'd be happy. I'd always share GGs on a
Me
Christmas
too.
Jeez.
I think that's a very bonding thing coming round
do.
for that.
It is bonding.
I think that's
the gravy.
Yeah. Bisto.
Nice. Do you think the people that borrowed it were thinking, it's all gravy this, isn't it? It's all gravy.
I'm not familiar with the phrase "it's all gravy."
That's what people say.
Do they?
When
What does it mean?
everything's
Say it's all gravy when something's nice.
When things are sweet, they're
Do
all
they?
gravy.
It's all gravy.
Never heard that before.
I say it
Really?
quite often. And you, that's just been sent a whole box of meat, and you've never heard the phrase "it's all gravy"
No.
of anyone in the whole room.
I think I showed them my box of meat and said, "How do you like them apples?" Confused everyone.
Yeah, fruity.
So,
We were
I tell you what, this is. We were talking about who should get the Top Gear job.
Yes.
And what about this for a bit of what I'm going to call a left field suggestion? There was a woman in where was it, Stockport?
It was in Stockport.
Remember this in
yes.
I think it was
Which
in
is
the-
Greater Manchester for
Yeah.
the geography uninitiated.
And last week she lost her car. She parked her car
yeah.
and then couldn't remember where she'd parked it. And she put out what they used to call an all-persons bulletin.
Yeah. An APB.
APB.
Yeah,
Nice.
But you can do that on the social networks,
Oh,
can't you?
absolutely. She'd driven all the way to Southampton for a job interview. From Southampton to Stockport, which is
Wow.
a chunk of a journey.
Yeah.
And she'd been running a bit late and panicked and parked, and then came out and couldn't find her car. So was a bit worried and distressed. So she did the APB on the old on the Twitter,
And it worked.
and it worked. Yeah.
Now, wouldn't she be great?
Did she think it had been stolen?
No, I think she just knew that she couldn't find it.
But on Top Gear, you'd have first be a woman, which I think would be a healthy addition to
They'll
the
definitely
team.
get a woman next,
and then
won't
also
they?
someone who's so on-car-y that they've parked their car and don't remember where they put it. I
Yeah.
think it'd be a really nice balance.
That would be good. It's a good shout, Frank. It's a good shout.
Thanks very much. What about this one?
Primal
think?
scream.
It was more staccato, but I still like. I want to come back to this woman because I'm slightly fascinated by her dilemma.
Absolute
Absolute.
Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
How long was it missing the car?
I don't know. I think like a few hours or something, or maybe a bit more.
Let's have a look.
She said
3 hours. It was 3 hours.
She said in the interview, and I like this. In
I
future, I
think it
will
was
take a
more.
In future, I will take a picture of where I am parked and write the name of the street down.
Good thinking.
That is good thinking. I do that sometimes. And in fact, some big, like, you know, the big multi-storey car parks, I'll sometimes take a photograph of the level and the,
Yeah, I do
the
that.
number, yeah.
Also in hotels, I take a photo of the hotel number
Done
of the
that.
room because I won't remember.
I've done that. It's good. Good
I've
system.
never done that.
It's a good system. I like
Yeah.
the fact that she lost her car, but it was a Seat Ibiza. Like, it's a place name.
It's a party car.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, do you think there was someone in Ibiza driving a Ford Stockport at the same time? No, I don't.
I want to know
That doesn't exist.
if there was if she left anything on the passenger Seat. Why can you get into a Seat and then sit in the driver's seat? Something wrong there. You need a bit of regularity of pronunciation, don't you?
Yeah.
You do.
What's happened
Like
to the world?
Sean Bean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
exactly.
example of that.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
your bête noire, the creme egg, Cadbury's
Yeah.
creme egg.
Creme egg.
Scandalous. You know, it could never happen to me, I think, the lost car thing, because parking for me is such an ordeal and such an achievement. I find it so hard.
Really?
Yeah, that it'd be like Jessica Ennis forgetting where she won gold. When I've parked, I'm usually doing like a 94-point turn to get into the thing, but when I'm I'm so aware of my environment.
Have you ever taken a photo of some brilliant parking? Because I parked my car so well the other day that I photographed it for
that sounds
just to
good.
look back and reminisce about a great piece of parking.
That's lovely.
I
It was
parallel
so
parked
good.
in a fairly small gap on my street with my mum and wife in the car and nailed it first time.
Wow.
It was
Amazing.
such a... I honestly think my mum might have been thinking this is the greatest of achievement of his life.
Yeah,
It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh
To
God,
do
I
it in
never
front-
do that.
Incredible.
So good.
That's the equivalent of James Corden flying out his parents to watch his first night on the Late Late Show.
I don't want to
you do
change
that?
the
Yeah.
subject to make it all
Brilliant.
about me, but we've just had an email in that I cannot ignore, even though it's the last link of the day. Had a dream last night that the Cockerel took his shirt off in Tesco and was asking shocking bystanders to admire his abs. All very odd. That's
a
sort
weird
of stuff.
coincidence, because he actually did that before the show.
He said he's got a lot stronger.
Macho what do you say?
That's the sort of email we should have in the first hour.
So you've done jiu-jitsu 4 times this week.
Well, that's That's how you
And that
say
his
it.
strength, he said, since I last saw you, my strength has improved.
He did, yeah.
I have got a lot stronger.
Would I ever say that to anyone? Well, first it would be a lie.
I haven't said that I've got strong. I've said that I've got stronger. I've moved on from where I was.
Yeah, but you were saying that, and I was saying to Holly, have you noticed anything different about my dewlap?
He said, you update me on your Wattle.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I should send out Wattle updates to friends.
like a Christmas round robin.
Yeah.
This year, Wattle has made it to the...
Christmas would be perfect. It'd be a picture of me next to a turkey. That's so ideal. Holly, thank you very much
Thanks for
joining
having
us
me.
today. It's always a joy to be in your company. It was great being with you as well, Cockerel, but, you know,
Thank you.
let's face it, familiarity breeds contempt.
I've noticed.
But thank you all for listening, and we'll be back again this time next week, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise. Now, get out!
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.